What's going on, everybody? Today, I just wanted to show you a video. Try see if this showing up. Yeah. And what I'm going to teach us today is a little bit about the basics of fat loss and weight loss. Now, this here is, I'm not going to go through that. The first thing I wanted to start with is I wanted to explain to you the behavior behind weight loss, what's very, very important. And then I also want to show you what human performance really looks like and what's important from a biochemistry standpoint, because that is the most important part of it, is the actual biochemistry behind all this. Because a lot gets thrown around the internet about like weight loss, human performance, all the different fancy diets. So today I would like to be able to also show you a little bit of the scientific literature, and I'll simplify that around carbohydrates and fat metabolism and what the actual science and data shows behind that. But the first thing is that we're going to go through is this is kind of like what you would call the hierarchy of scientific evidence. Now, the hierarchy of scientific evidence is kind of like at the bottom of the pyramid, what you will see is expert opinion and anecdotal evidence. So what that kind of is it's not really data. It's just other people's experiences. Do you ever hear the one like my friend's friend lost weight from this kind of diet and you should try that too? Not understanding like just because it's someone's experience. And like if we listen to all of that kind of, imagine I always say to someone, right? Imagine going in for a heart surgery and one of us and someone saying, yeah, this doctor got advice off of a bloke years ago, and he passed the heart surgery. But we're just gonna try this on you today. Yeah, no problem at all. Go on, jump in there. Like, would you really take that risk? Just kind of think about, because this is a lot of the diets that get applied to people and training programs. Like sometimes there's no actual evidence to back it up. Now, another one would be like case reports and case studies. Case studies are a quite solid, solid, like, as you can see, case control studies can be quite good data, but they wouldn't be as good as like stuff like randomized control trials of where they're actually be able to control participants in groups. So I'll give you a little look at that right now. So if you look into this is a guy called Kevin Hall. I've been fascinated with his research on carbohydrate and fats metabolism for years. And these would be a lot of this would be like from randomized control trials. And I think he was 23 years studying which causes weight gain. Is it fats or is it carbohydrates? And basically, what I'm about to share with you today, like when total daily energy expenditure, which I'll explain what that is, I'll just show you what that is right now if you give me a minute. So basically, your body expands energy through four components, okay? It's like basically your resting metabolic rate, which is your basically your organs need energy every day to function, like your brain, all. So your organs actually needs energy every day to function. That's where our body needs what we call micronutrients. All right. So micronutrients are basically what you get from vitamins, minerals, basically macro like electrolytes, things like iron, zinc. These are kind of like what we call our micronutrients that we need every single day. Now, the other thing that's the body needs then is it needs protein every single day, and it needs fats from essential fats from food. We also expand energy through digestion, which is the thermic effect of food on our body. So our body expands energy through protein, some kind of carbohydrates. The digestion of them can cause the body to expand energy. And the other thing that our body does is non-exercise activity metabolism. The non-exercise activity metabolism is like step count is non-exercise activity metabolism. But sometimes like if you actually take more and more steps every single day, you have to tap into your probably your own energy stores to use the expansion of energy from them step counts. For an example, let's say the body will use there's protein gets used for energy, carbohydrates, fats, and the phosphocreatine system. I'll show you now for a second if you give me 1 minute. Um, just a moment, please. But I have it here. I definitely think I'll put this in it to show you. Yeah, so here we go. So see the way our body uses these different energy systems for our body. So glycolysis is the burning of carbohydrates. So this is where when someone says carbohydrates are bad, I don't know how they are bad or why they're bad from a biochemistry standpoint. And then you have the phosphagen system, which the phosphagen system is kind of like it is your creatine system. And then you have the oxidative system, which is the fat system. But protein also can be used in this, especially in the oxidative system. It can be used through glycolysis, through gluconeogenesis. So basically, they're the four ways that our body will use energy. Now, if we go back to the components of energy expenditure, the body then also expands energy through exercise. So you think about your brain every single day, your muscle tissues, your respiratory system, your liver, all the amount of energy that's required every single day for you just to be a human being. So that's how our body expands energy every single day. It's through our total daily energy expenditure. That is the four components of energy expenditure. I'll repeat again. You got your resting metabolism, which is your resting metabol of the energy that you use at rest if you're sitting on a chair. Your body then expands energy through digestion, through the foods that you eat. There is a threshold for the number of protein that causes the body energy to expand. So, for example, you only need a certain amount of protein every single day in your body, and a lot of times that excessive protein could become a carbohydrate through a process called gluconeogenesis, which carbohydrates are probably more tastier. The the breakdown of carbohydrates from the carbohydrates you eat instead of going through the stressful process of a thing called gluconeogenesis may be more favorable for the carbohydrates. And also, who doesn't like fruits, vegetables, and starchy carbohydrates? Now, when we go into this, so basically, then when you look into this, this is all Kevin Hall's work, right? You can go and Google Kevin Hall. He's done some fantastic studies. He's very, very well respected in, especially in the scientific literature industry. And this shows that, like, when total energy expenditure is matched over years, like the energy intake, whether a person favors fats, so this is low carb and this is low fat, whether they favor both of them, what really it doesn't really matter which one chooses because fat gain happens when somebody eats an excessive amount of energy intake over time from total daily energy expenditure. Now, there's a formula that if any of you need help, I'll help walk you through one by one. If you wanted to send me a message or anything, I could do that for you to be able to get your energy expenditure. Now, there's a few myths that go around and say, oh, I can't lose weight because my insulin and stuff like that. So, obviously, as you can see, this is what insulin is. It's just a hormone that's secreted by our pancreas. Basically, what it does is it helps regulate your blood sugar levels and helps promote glycogen storage. Glycogen just is carbohydrate storage in the body, but it also helps with protein too. Okay. Now, protein also spikes insulin too. So, insulin is not bad. And there's a guy called James Krieger who wrote a great 6 series article on the insulin hypothesis. Now, if you are a trainer or you're someone that wants to learn about that, drop me a comment, drop me a message, and I'll share it with you. But I'll give you an overall conclusion so we can't dive too much into it. Insulin is usually a problem if you have diabetes, but if you're at very, very high body fat levels, chances are like you should possibly, the more you do lose weight, you will become a thing called chances of insulin sensitive. And insulin is not too much of a problem unless someone is overeating an excessive amount of calories. Insulin becomes a problem, and probably not doing the other basics of training like activity every day and taking daily step counts. Like these things are what really matters because When you're exercising, like I'm gonna go through all that today. Like you become insulin sensitive and your body gets better at using insulin. The more fitter you are, the more better you are at what you're doing with your fitness levels. The more you eat carbohydrates, the more you learn how to use carbohydrates, the more your body's storing carbohydrates, the more you're doing a thing called gastric emptying, which is the rate at which nutrients leave your digestive tract and get into circulation. Like the more fitter an individual is, the more active it is, the more the body adapts to using energy and storing energy. It's called the energy flux. There's other people that do call it, what's it called? Mike T. Nelson done a lot of work on metabolic flexibility. And metabolic flexibility is basically how your body uses carbohydrates and fats, all right, effectively. Hope you're still with me. So usually now, when you see a thing called a meta-analysis, which is a systematic review of randomized controlled trials, it's a very, very high state of evidence. So this would be a meta-analysis of or a systematic review of all the research ever done on isocaloric and carbs and fats and which one actually causes problems on weight gain. So remember I was telling you, this is how our body actually burns energy, Irene. So as I said to you, your rest of metabolism, which is the energy that's burned at rest for your organs and for your brain. And obviously your muscle tissue requires some kind of energy every single day. Fat requires energy every single day. The fat in your body. So your body does burn energy through that. And let's say, for example, your resting metabolism is anywhere from 1500 to 2000. Therefore, the total daily energy expenditure, once you have that in check, is the other components. Then you would understand, right, how much energy am I burning through activity every single day? How much energy am I burning through weight training? And I'll go through that right now. So this is where your body actually burns energy. Now, I don't want to go through the weekday diet right now. I just want to show you, for example. So your body, like in the water, in swimming, this is just an average of the amount of calories that a person would burn. So a backstroke, breaststroke, butterfly. But the other thing is jogging per 30 minutes can burn about 300 calories. Cycling, depending on what, walking burns a lot of calories. Rowing machine. But when you look at all of this, right? Let's say you were to go and row every single day and you're saying, all right, burn 255 calories or 300 calories. But imagine the recovery from that. Imagine the impact that that's having on your body. Because not many people would probably be able to do that all the time. And then you might have a strength training program. Whereas if you look at a rower, when you're pulling a rower really, really fast, it's the same motion as a deadlift. It's the same motion of them exercise. It's the same muscles that's getting used in the body. And that could carry over to affecting your strength training program. Make sense? So I'd always say to somebody like, let's say, for example, we went back to Human Performance Lab, all right? Now, if we went back to the Human Performance Lab and we look at like basically the aerobic system, you have anaerobic here, but realistically, from an aerobic standpoint, we're looking to improve our VO2 max or VO2. Or VO2 is the oxygen cost of exercise. And the adaptations that would be making is for you to be able to have better blood composition, better arterial pressure, better all over cardiovascular output, because this is the real thing. And it's down here in this bottom here. So usually the adaptations that you get from aerobic training in the muscle cell is you improve mitochondria biogenesis, which is the density of the mitochondria in your cells. Basically, what mitochondria do is they help you regenerate energy and improve your fitness levels in simple terms. It also, aerobic training will improve enzyme activity in the body. Angiogenesis. Angiogenesis is the development and makes and creation of new blood vessels, which is extremely important for your all over long term blood health. And obviously, protein transporters, which I will not get into today. So you've got to kind of look into that. That's what we're looking for from aerobic training. So I always put them separate to my clients and the people I'm working with to their strength training, because strength training is a different adaptation. I'm going to go through that right now with you. So basically, what like the terminology of resistance training is activities. This is I created this for people. It's an activity where participants work against an external resistance. Free weights, machine weights, resistance bands, body weight. It's anything that's forcing your body to kind of move against an external resistance. So, for an example, when you weight train, okay, basically we're looking to improve we're looking to improve toning your muscles, muscle growth. We're also looking to improve bone mineral density. And when you're in a weight loss program, what happens is you we start to lose muscle tissue if we don't set up with a good resistance training program that's progressive. And that resistance training program, we kind of want that to be like specific to you, that's allowing you to actually get stronger and improve muscle tone over time so you don't lose muscle tissue, okay? And the adaptations that we're actually probably looking to make inside of that is it's not aerobic performance because it's two different training. So you are looking to improve what's called your muscle fibers and your muscle plasticity. Muscle plasticity is just the development of new muscle tissues, muscle fibers over time. So basically what it is it's like neuroplasticity, okay? So neuroplasticity is like when you actually rewire your brain through behaviors, through different stuff all the time, what happens is you can develop new neurons in your brain to be able to change behavior and change habits. It's like when you actually get stronger with muscle. I'm just going to go here and just stay here for a minute. When you actually go get stronger in your muscles and you improve the cross sectional area of your muscle tissue, what happens is your muscles get more stronger. That's number one. They also grow, your muscle fibers grow, and the plasticity of them actually grow through a thing called training adaptations. Okay. So let's say here you are on a weight loss program and you said to me, right, Ray, what is what is the three most important things for fat loss? And I would say with 95% certainty, number one is how do we actually create an energy deficit specific to you? Now, an energy deficit is like eating less amount of calories than you're expanding through your total daily energy expenditure. Not what MyFitnessPal tells you, not what someone else tells you. Will not tapping into your rest of metabolism. Because I'm not going to go into relative energy deficiency syndrome right now and the symptoms, the negative symptoms of dieting. Like, do you ever notice? Because like when you diet, within the first 2 to 4 weeks, your thyroid goes down. Leptin, which is a hunger signal hormone, also decreases. Your hunger goes up, right? But I don't want to go into that too much today. So you kind of got to understand how do you set up the calorie deficit specific to you to be able to have adherence, all right? Now, I got these templates from Arctic Counts, all right? And I kind of created a little bit of them. So the most important thing to your weight training program is how do you set yourself up for consistency with a weight training program? Then the other thing is once you have consistency, the other one is the frequency. How many days can you actually train in the gym? Because this is the second most important thing for weight loss. And then, like, let's say, for example, you might be a busy mother, you might have a busy job, and like you can still make because remember, when you're in a calorie deficit, the goal is to retain muscle tissue. You can recomp, which is build a muscle and lose fat at the same time. But the training required to maintain muscle mass in a deficit, I think it's at about one ninth of the amount of work that you've been doing in your bulking season or your maintenance season. So you could probably do 4 to 6 working sets per muscle group. Because like, remember, you're looking to maintain muscle tissue. But what happens is when you diet, muscle protein synthesis, which is the basically what muscle. So basically, when you're going in to grow muscle in a gym, or you're looking to actually change your muscle tissue and looking to improve, like grow your tone your muscles over time, that's done through the signal that we're doing in the gym. We're looking to like I'd say stimulate, I can use that word if you want, muscle protein synthesis, the creation of new proteins. We want to be able to get new proteins to grow muscle tissue. That's why we eat protein. That's when we train. That's why we want to do progression. All right. When you diet, and this is clear in literature and biochemistry, that decreases. All right. So I'm just letting you know, you can do all the training in the world that you want. You can do 7 days or 14 days, but I think you might be a smart individual and you might like training with a purpose where you want to actually train and say to yourself, you know what? I want to actually go into the gym and train with a purpose. I want to be able to like improve and stimulate muscle protein synthesis from my training. And that comes through exercise intensity and the amount of volume applied. And then all exercise selection, progression, all this tempo and all these other fancy stuff matters. But we need to really get down to what can I do consistently? Am I training at a given intensity that allows me to recover, that doesn't affect me sleep, that doesn't get me injured, that doesn't have me feeling burned out? And how many days can I actually train at this intensity and this frequency over time? How much volume am I actually able to do? Because what really matters, guys, all right, is the question that I'd say is, let's say you want to do chin ups, sorry, but right now you're not doing chin ups, and you can't do a chin up, but you really, really have a desire to do chin ups. You can do all the banded chin ups in the world that you want. You can do all the different ways to be able to cheat yourself to get to them. But if you actually improved your body composition, which is grow muscle tissue, grow bone mineral density, and decrease your body fat, you will have a more relative strength, more power to weight ratio, and you should be able to start doing pull-ups. This is called progression, okay? This is where you're actually making progression over a year. Because if you're not able to improve your pull-ups every year, and you're still not able to do them things, and your squatting is not going up, your bench press is probably not going up, your endurance of your push-ups are not getting better, stuff is not getting better, chances are you may not be actually making the progress that you think you're making. And I'm not trying to be blunt, but like I do think that you should start training for progression to actually start making significant changes to your body over time. Now, the volume that you do is the amount of work that you can do from sets, repetitions, and the weight that is lifted. Okay. That's a calculation of volume. So remember, weight training is very important for weight loss. So is the calorie deficit. And the other one that is really, really important, I'm going to show you right now, hopefully I have it here, is protein. Protein is very, very important. And here's just a little bit of a study, all right? So this study was in trained like people that trained 2 to 3 times a week. They done 8 to 12 weeks of weight training. Now the weight training, as I said, would have having frequency, it would have having progression, it would have having all that in check. They would have been on high protein diets. They would have having a little bit of a calorie deficit, probably, or in around maintenance. And what happened was, as you can see, these are the changes that you should make in about 12 weeks on a weight training program. The 79% improved metabolic rate would be usually when someone grows muscle tissue and loses fat, the resting metabolism increases. This is called your metabolic rate is basically a calculation of the energy that's expanded through exercise, need, build, and rest and metabolism. Makes sense? This is the language of scientific literature when it comes to muscle growth and weight loss. They speak in terms of like metabolic rate stuff. So basically, then there was an increase in bone mineral density because, like, when you're in a calorie deficit and you're deficient in protein and calcium, your body uses a lot of calcium from your bones. And this is why when I'm coaching females as well, and even athletes, I know like that are actually training for like MMA sports and boxing sports and football, bone mineral density needs to be respected massively. We don't want to be getting bone breaks. We don't want to be getting these kind of things. They take a long time to get out because we want an increase in bone mineral density that will slow down osteoporosis. Now, the other thing that you can see that usually is in when you get resistance training and it's progressive and you see changes like this where there's a 1.4 kilogram growth in lean mass, there's a 1.8 kilogram in reduced fat mass. Like, imagine doing this over a year. Like, imagine gaining like 3 to 4 kilos a year and reducing a couple of kilos of fat mass. And this is where this can really, really happen because then you can see like blood sugar. Remember I was telling you about insulin. So look, increased insulin sensitivity happens in studies when they do resistance training programs, when they do controlling their energy intake, and they do this with consistency. And it also increases, as I said, improved muscle protein synthesis in the weight management. These are all the positives that we're looking for from training, all right? Let me explain. We want an increase in strength. We want to be able to improve our lean body mass. We want to be able to decrease fat mass and not lose loads of weight. We want to be able to improve muscle protein synthesis. We want to have an increase in insulin sensitivity. We want to decrease our glucose sensitivity. Makes sense. And as you can say, this can be recommended for diabetes patients in studies. We want to increase bone mineral density. Can you all see all the benefits of this? Because like I'll go through dopamine in a minute. So just going back to where we're at, I want to just show you something. I'm not going through females. So we always look at the weekday diet. Do you ever hear of the weekday diet? I got this from a guy. I got this analogy from a guy called Bill Campbell. Bill Campbell. I done the International Society of Sports Nutrition as one of the. I done this qualification many years ago. Bill is a very, very respected nutritionist in the fitness industry. I don't want to do any plagiarism or take people's stuff, but I do study these people and I'm studying them all my life. So I deserve to actually use what I'm learning and try to put it into my own stuff. But the weekday diet is a typical thing now. Do you ever notice somebody like, and look again, I've coached thousands of people. Monday, they're on just say, for example, that we give you an energy expenditure, as I showed you earlier on, of say you were dieting and you're on 2,500 calories, all right? Is your maintenance here in this line. 2,500 is your total daily energy expenditure. So we cut 500 calories and 2,000 calories. We hit it on the button on a Monday. We hit on a button. All of a sudden, Tuesday, we have the 2,000 and we throw her up to 2,500. We're at maintenance. Then we're already losing control, all right? Then all of a sudden, we hit the 2,000 diet, but we jump down and we have a load of ice cream with the friends. We're out on a summer's day and we throw down and we slam down. Before you know, we're on 3,200 calories. We don't even notice it, all right? Friday, we try start off really, really well. We get the 2,000 in, but it's a Friday night out with the football games. And before you know, we're slamming down a big pepperoni pizza. I'm not saying that you're eating pepperoni pizza. I'm just giving you an example. Before you know it, you probably diet again on the Saturday and Sunday, but your weekly average, because like the weekly average matters in weight loss, all right? Like your body either has to get rid of energy, or if not, it will store it as fat, all right? Or store it somewhere. That's so the week matters because people think consistency is this straight stuff, all right? But what it really is you see fluctuations, like life gets in the way. Like I did listen to some of my clients and I have so much empathy because like they might have kids, they're getting up in the middle of the night, the huge responsibility, they're out with their work colleagues, they're going on holidays, and it's kind of difficult because I've done a lot of work on behavior change, guys. All right, load the qualifications on it, and I'm gonna go through something with you right here today. So this matters here. It's called the ventral tegmental area in your brain, and what it does is it stores behaviors from dopamine. All right. So as we know, dopamine is responsible for long-term memories due to the ventral tegmental area. There's a great book called The Hungry Brain by Stephen Gaynor. Go and read it if you want. It is a phenomenal book, like incredible book. And Stephen Gaynor, I would say, is probably he's a neuroscientist and in behavior change towards the fitness industry, and he's the one that has the whole philosophy around that. We we have a weight gain and disease problem from overeating, not from specific food groups, all right? So basically, think about this. It's responsible for addictive behavior, dopamine is. It's driven by motivation, movement. It's got, again, it's the it's the main neurotransmitter for focus, as we know. It's believed to be one of the neurotransmitters responsible for ADHD. This thing is lethal. It raises our libido levels. It won't be raising your libido levels if you're on a very, very low calorie diet, though, that's for sure. Over time, it's a natural herb. Ladopa is, which is a precursor to the dopamine. Look, dopamine along with leptin are the two hormones that affect our appetite. Remember I was telling you about leptin? Because like leptin basically tells our brain that we're full, all right, it's in our fat cells. That Now leptin decreases in the calorie deficit over time. It's responsible for stuff with schizophrenia, like it's how that's felt from the marijuana with the release of dopamine. Parkinson's got so much going on. So it's so easy to when you eat, I think when you eat hyper palatable foods on your deficit, it's more easier to overeat them through the dominance of dopamine. And think about all these donuts that you eat, all these other fun foods that I think everybody has their own kind of like what they call cheat foods, which is instead of just saying how do I make these fit into long term sustainable nutrition to hit me lifestyle rather than using the word cheat. Because when you use the word cheat, it kind of comes with this, doesn't it? Do you ever hear the diet cycle? Now I got this from motivational interviewing in diets and the scientific literature on behavior change. I'll give you an example. So you start the diet and you go on, usually people go on a restriction. And again, they cut the AKA cheat foods that they think they're not allowed to have. They're on a rigid diet and they don't even realize it's an all or nothing mentality. I'm all in or I'm all out. Look, it's been shown since 1975, since behavior science, that these diets are usually the ones that's highest form of relapse, weight regain, people falling off track, and they're probably saying, prove it right. Drop me a message. I'll give you a study by study, no problem whatsoever. But we're not going to get into a debate with that right now. But if you want to read them, you are very, very welcome to read them. I've read them. But I'm going to just continue on and just showing you this now. Now, and I've also have a background in like AA, Overeaters Anonymous, and I see these, you see it in your practice when you're aware of it so much. All of a sudden, it's a restriction. You might have feel a little bit guilty and low self-esteem. You probably overate. So then it becomes a little bit of a binge. Sorry, the binge becomes like. Do you ever notice when you feel like you binge, like you go out, you're on this diet, it's usually carbohydrates, isn't it? So all of a sudden you go out, you have a slice of pizza, you knock back the whole pizza like an animal. You don't even realize what you're doing. Then it becomes non-stop. It becomes probably two pizzas. Then it just progresses. Then all of a sudden you overeat the ice cream with it. Then all of a sudden you feel guilty, low self-esteem again. And the mindset goes into relapse. I've relapsed. What am I going to do? Anyone have a new diet? Anyone have a challenge? Anyone have this? And it just becomes a vicious cycle that continues like a never ending rat race that goes on and on and on. I have seen people in this for years, like years, and they cannot get out of it. And the reason that they cannot get out of it is because they keep following outside what the scientific literature actually recommends for sustainable weight loss, sustainable fat loss, muscle growth, and improving a better relationship with themselves and a better relationship with food and a better relationship with a fitness lifestyle. Honestly, I've seen people 4 or 5 years all the time, consistently. Please don't get disheartened if you're watching. And I'm not speaking directly to you. I'm trying to just help people. Maybe your story can actually help people too if you did go through this, because I went through it for years. My name is Fat Ray from nearly my whole life. Now, the stage to change model goes like this. So realistically, we're all on our own state. So we're in a contemplation phase. We're not really aware. We're kind of lacking the skills. We have a little bit of unconscious incompetence. We kind of haven't got that. But we probably have like is a unconscious competence in many other stuff that we do. We probably have other skills at all the other stuff. So we just need to do that in fitness. Then we go through the contemplation phase. We feel very, very determined to make a change now. We're developing better habits. We're consistent with the training. We're consistent with the nutrition. We're probably eating out with our friends on the weekends. We're eating with our kids. We're trying to come from like we have what we call the mojo. We've got momentum. All right. We're feeling very, very determined right now. Everything is going in our favor. We're feeling so motivated that we're actually looking into buying new clothes. We're actually looking to book a beach vacation. That's how determined we're feeling. We're actually taking more selfies. We're actually looking to get into new gym clothes. We're actually feeling great in the gym. Our energy is going really good. We're actually taking up a yoga class. You know where I'm coming from. We're in action. But before you know it, we relapse again. We fall off. Something's either too hard, and we keep exiting this and we keep re-entering this phase over and over again. We get to the relapse, we maintain for a bit, you might feel devastated, and then you just keep re-entering that all the time. The only way to get out of this, guys, is to find out exactly right. I just wanted to say is like what do you actually want? Like how can you set up nutrition and training long term to meet your lifestyle, Like how do we do that? Like how do we actually set you up to do that long term? And that's what you have, that's what I had to do. That's basically what you do need to do. It's kind of like we need to find out like what we can actually do for ourselves long term. And I'm going to give you a little bit of coaching. So, for example, right, I'm going to give you a couple of questions, right now, just to help you. Right, all jokes aside, all cards on the table right now. Here you are. Like, what do you actually want to achieve for you? Just for you, not anybody else. Just you. Like, what do you want for you? Now, just sit with that for a minute. Right, I know what you want. I'd say a lot of, and please don't take this. I see the way you have to keep expressing yourself. Like I'd say, a lot of men want to look good with their shirt off. They want to look good. They want to have abs, but they probably failed so much in their past that they don't believe in themselves to get there anymore. Because what they tried before was either too extreme, too difficult, that they never actually done the patience and consistency over a long duration of time. Like I'm able to go around and just maintain low body fat most year round because I eat at maintenance calories. But I've done loads of cuts, like 4 weeks on, 4 weeks maintenance but I've increased me training with it. And I get me clients to do that too. But I'd never go on to any of these fads or that all the time. Makes sense? Because you kind of want to find out what foods you like that's in alignment with your values, what's in alignment with your family, how you can actually have a little bit of like what we call flexible dieting, and that's making a small amount of food fit over the duration of time. So you got to kind of find out what you really want. And like I do believe like a lot of females that I do work with, they do want to look like tighter on the stomach. They want to have a little bit of, I wouldn't say they want to be toned on their legs. They want good glute development. They want good development on their arms. They want kind of a thin waist. And again, you got to kind of understand they also want to be able to like not go through too much stress on the menstrual cycle. Like they also want to be able to solve menopause when they're in them kind of symptoms and get rid of the limiting beliefs behind that. That's what I find just from me practice. Like from I've worked with menopause, perimenopause, postmenopause, pregnancy, young girls in football. I've done it all. So like I know it, and I had to study it, and I had to go and learn all the literature based on it. Now that's it. So you got to kind of find out what you really, really want. All right. Then you got to say to yourself, why do I want to achieve this? When you get the idealization, because it's an ideal future, right? You got to say, why do I want this? Then you're sitting there like, why do I want it? You know what? Here's what a few people say to me, Ray. Ever since I've been into shape, you want to see the respect I'm getting in me career. You want to see when I'm going around, I'm walking around, I feel $1 million walking in. I feel energized. I feel great in my t-shirts. You know what I mean? I feel great in going out. I feel great. Like I feel more confident. I have a lot of self-worth back. I have a lot of like higher self-esteem. You know what? I actually love taking photos of myself. I actually love all these kind of things. But then the real why might be, you know what? I want to look great for my partner. She deserves or he deserves to see the most attractive part of me every single day. Because I want to maintain high level in this relationship. And this is what I want to do. And I know I'm going deep here, but I hear these things all the time. They're sleeping here, John coming from. This is going on. There's cheating going on. We don't want that to happen. And it might be the fitness levels. It might be that we're becoming very, very, what I would call is intentional blinding or intentional blindness, which we keep going with these big, huge goals all the time, forgetting everything else out in life, everything going out, we keep rebounding, relapsing, and not understanding what that's doing to what's going on. You get me? So you got to kind of find out really why, and the other why might be that you might be getting some negative feedback stories from the doctor, the hospital. You might want to improve your metabolic health. You might want to improve your blood panel to be around for your kids, to be around for your grandkids. Do you know where I'm coming from? To be like it's serious stuff when it gets to that level, and that's way out my scope of practice. But this is where it gets really, really deep. You mightn't be able to walk up the stairs. I know it sounds rough by me. You might have a disease that you can actually get rid of by better nutrition. I would say so. I'll tell you one thing before I go. I remember in the Real Madrid University, right, I was sitting there, and I remember we were going through the gut microbiota and how it relates to diseases, right, and the immune system. And the professor must have put up like about 100 different diseases that's linked to with nutrition. Like and I'm like, whoa, this is like this nutrition, because nutrition is serious stuff when you really, really think about it. But you don't have to cut out fruits and vegetables. Like there's 70 years of science. Even before I go, like I'm actually about to do a paper. Stuart Phillips, the #1 researcher on protein metabolism, #1 lab. I think it's McMaster University in Canada in protein metabolism. They've done all the studies on protein. Just recently came out that you can have a combination of all the different proteins from vegan, vegetarian, animal based, and it doesn't affect cancer. I'll show you that paper. Drop me a message. I haven't read it yet. Sometimes it's hard to keep on top of all these studies. But I've seen his LinkedIn post. I follow him a lot because he's been a great like tutor, I'd say, or mentor for me for years, like throughout all the masters and stuff I do. And he shows that too. So, and then like you want to see the latest position statement on vegan and vegetarian based diets. Now, you're probably saying it's probably going to be loads of people. Yeah, but this is bad. Look, it's a position statement. Like it's 7 years of hundreds of studies by experts. You know, like these people in the labs that are involved in sports performance and getting funded by the Premier League and all these things. Like these are the real experts, in my opinion. I think in everybody's opinion. So like you don't have to cut out anything. Like honestly, there's more things to life. Like obviously you can't go out and just knocking out loads of Ben and Jerry's every single day or knocking out all these hits, but making things fit in the long duration of time so you can have a little bit more satisfaction, a little bit more motivation, and make it more easier to be consistent over a long duration of time. Any questions, let me know. I hope this gave you the basics of fat loss and weight loss, and you can set yourself up to become the best version of you. And remember, your comeback starts right now. Not next week, not Monday, not after this, after that. Now, the only time we have in life is the present moment. You can become